Hey friends, we've got an exciting announcement to kick this episode off. We are doing another giveaway, and this time we are giving away not one, but two reveal cell cams to one lucky winner, and it only takes 10 seconds to get entered. You can get entered at getdrawnwest.com/giveaway. We've got an entry form there for you. It takes 10 seconds, like I said, but once you're in, then you start stacking up those bonus entries because there's over 100 entries available, which means you're going to have up to 100 times the odds of winning. So make sure you get entered. How the bonuses work: follow or subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you prefer, Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. You're going to get 10 bonus entries. So hit that button, head over to your favorite platform, make sure you're subscribed. If you're already subscribed, you're still going to get credit. Just hit that button and then go back and claim your 10 points. Follow us on Instagram. You're going to get another 10 points. So click the button, head over to Instagram, make sure you're following us, go back, claim your entries. That's another 10. So now we're at 21. Now, from there, you're going to get 20 extra entries for every code word you hear on the podcast and you submit. So later in this episode, we're going to release a code word. When you hear that, head over to getdrawnwest.com/giveaway. Find the episode 21. It's going to have a code word entry. You just type it in, hit submit, boom, 20 more entries. We're going to do 4 of those. So all in all, you can get over 100 entries for the reveal cell cams, the new Ultra model. I've been loving them. We just got a couple set up on our farm as well, and they rock. So do all that. You'll notice we built custom software. I myself coded this so you can know exactly where you are through this giveaway. When we just gave away the Matthews lift, you were emailing stuff into me, and it took forever to go through all those emails. And I know a lot of you were wondering, where do I stand? Did you get my email? How many entries do I have? We fixed all of that because now you can automatically submit your bonus entries and see live how many entries you've got. At the bottom of that sheet, there's going to be a tally, a score tracker, whatever you want to call it. When you type in your email, you can check my entries. It'll tell you how many entries you've got. Makes it a lot easier for you to know where you stand and if you've maxed out your points. So go get entered. We're doing this. It's going to be 2 weeks. We're going to pull a winner. The Reveal Ultra giveaway. I'm super excited for this. Super cool prize. Just in time for Christmas. Just in time for late season whitetail. You name it. Somebody's going to have an awesome November. Here we go. Let's kick this episode off. One tag, 1 week, one shot to make it count. This is for the hunters who hit the road and get after it, no matter the odds. This is Drawn West. Welcome back to another Drawn West podcast brought to you by GOHUNT. I have got my good buddy Steven Walker on the podcast for y'all today because Steven has been having a banger of a season. Man, you are on a roll. And now that you're in Louisiana, or not in Louisiana, back in Georgia, I feel like your accent's coming on even more perfect.
It happens, brother. It happens.
Yeah. So give this is the first time you've been on the podcast, but we got so many exciting things coming up. You shot a beautiful bull, you shot a beautiful buck, you've been duck hunting, you've been scouting mule deer, which is like probably it seems like one of your favorite things is looking at big mule deer. And we're going to be out there in 1 week from today, I think we leave.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's
we got a
coming
bunch,
quick.
man. Yeah,
man, I'm excited about you guys coming out. I think so this area that we're going to be hunting is a great migration. It's a great migration unit, and the part of the unit that we are hunting is I mean, it's like the specific part of the unit that is a migration route. And so early, like your first and second rifle seasons, the deer numbers, there's just not a whole lot of deer in there. And then somewhere in your middle of your second season, they just start pouring into this place. And so it's a really cool place to hunt. But as you can see from the pictures, they kind of this year started trickling in a little bit early. So I'm kind of pumped up to see what's actually going to happen, because I think with them getting in there a little bit earlier, it's just it's just going to really give us an opportunity for some great rut action with your hunt, you and Abby, and I've got a tag as well, so it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. No, so for folks that are maybe confused, because you're all over the place, right? Steven is currently back home in Georgia hunting monster whitetails. He's got some good whitetails. But we're talking about next week, he's going to be back where he resides, back at his house in Colorado, and we have mule deer tags. So people are kind of like, wait, the rut's already going on. What are you guys talking about? Whitetails don't migrate. No, we're doing both. We got a bunch of things in this podcast, but yeah, a week from today, Abby and I are going to hit the road after work. We're going to get as far as we can. We are picking up a camper in Denver. We're going to get out there on the 6th, I think. We should be there sometime on the 6th. And I think so. We have the whole day on the 7th to scout, learn the unit, and then opening day on the 8th.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be awesome. So, the thing was, like in our unit, everybody wanted a 4-season tag.
Yeah.
And the 4-season tag, everybody just kind of took it as being, if you want to hit the rut, you have to put in for the 4-season tag or you miss the rut.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the years hunting that, for number one, it became harder and harder to draw that 4-season tag, because we were getting bumped, even as residents of Colorado, we were getting bumped to every third or fourth year getting a tag. And so I switched it. And the third, man, I'm giving out information that everybody might take and run with here. But the third season is much easier to get drawn for. And so I started switching. And what I found was there's not a whole lot of difference as far as rut activity, because one year you're going to hit it and it's going to be really good,
Yeah.
according to what the dates are in third season. One year in 4 seasons is going to be really good. But I've saw it vice versa. I've saw where the biggest rut action was in third season, and fourth seemed like it hit the rut lull. And so I just started kind of religiously putting in for the third rifle hunt, and this is like my third year in a row that I've drawn it.
That's awesome. I struggle as a deer hunter in Minnesota when people talk about like, oh yeah, I tried to draw my deer tag this year and I didn't draw. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like you didn't get a deer tag in your own state? Like I really struggle with that because in Minnesota and just probably like Georgia, like so many deer, you go to the gas station to buy your tag,
Yeah.
on the way to the stand or when you
Yeah.
get to deer camp. And we had a guy talking from Nevada, and he's like, "Yeah, like every 5 years I draw a deer tag." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What do you do on the other 4 years? Like, that's awful."
I know it's yeah, especially being a southern boy and used to being able to have multiple deer tags a
Yeah,
year, and then go to where you hope you draw one is different.
yeah,
So that's why I hunt Louisiana. That's why I hunt Georgia.
all
Fill
over the
in that
place. Yeah,
time, brother.
yeah. I'm wondering if this year, because in 25, the new Colorado big game management plan came out, right? Like the 5-year plan, and third season moved back quite a ways.
Yeah, so they've been playing with the dates the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 years. They've been playing with the dates a little bit back and forth. And yeah, so and they're saying that next let's see, well it'll be 28. In 2028, there's going to be a big turnover, like a lot of changes, permanent changes that are going to go into effect. So it remains to be seen what that ends up, being or entailing. But yeah, I you know, I I like the date. Like this year, it starts on the 8th.
Hmm.
I believe our tag go 8th to the 15th or something like that. I think,
I think 8 to 16,
or
but
16th. Yeah,
but we can't hunt the 16th personally. We got to hit the road, but because it's Sunday, right? Like we got a
Got you.
long ways
Yep.
to get home, but from
Yep.
work on Monday. But yeah, it's longer than I thought too. When I had a Colorado tag, it was like 7 days, like a real 7 days. It would have been like 8 to 14 or 8 to, I think it was
Yeah.
maybe even 5 days. I can't remember. It was a short elk tag when I had a second season elk tag.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a few days to get it done. I think we'll be able to pull it off on some good bucks, because what we've saw so far is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, they're as we speak, they're dumping into that place.
You know, if I see a fraction of the bucks you've already sent me pictures of, it'll be the most bucks I've ever seen on a mule deer hunt. And that's,
Well,
that sounds funny. It's not a joke either. Like my first mule deer hunt, we saw a bachelor group of bucks the night before season, like a couple of forks and a big fork, and then maybe like a 3x3. And then we hunted for days and didn't see another mule deer. I saw a giant elk. And then
oh
we
wow,
shot yearlings like 3-4 days later. It was the only buck we saw during season. And then I go to
wow,
Wyoming, and man, I couldn't buy a deer. And they were all small forks, like yearling forks. The typical, size like this. I don't
yeah,
have them here. And I was at the point, it's like, all right, I did that once. I think I'm going to hold out. And I got lucky and shot a buck that was probably a 3-year-old, but it was a drought year. So he was a big 3x3, about 130-inch 3x3.
hmm,
Decent mass. Was like the only buck I saw bigger than a fork. And I only saw 2 forks besides him. Then we go to Montana. My buddy sees a 4x4 day one and thinks, oh, this is going to be great. Passes it, thinking, day
oh no,
one, like big 4x4, let's wait. Never saw another buck that big. He ended up
oh
shooting a 3x3, and then I shot a 3x4. Again, probably like 3-year-old, but we probably only saw 3 or 4 bucks on public land during the hunt. Um,
yeah.
and so Steven has been teasing me for the last 2 weeks. Just every now and then it'll be like, I don't know, he's at the water cooler at work and he's like, oh, I'm going to send this one to Brian. And all of a sudden I'll just get a 150-inch mule deer in a text message. I don't know. I sent some to my father-in-law because he's just asking about our hunt and stuff. And it was 9. And I didn't even go all the way back. There was 9 different pictures of giant bucks, and they're all different, right? And so it was no joke. If we see half as many as you've sent me, it'll be the most bucks I've ever seen in a mule deer hunt, which makes me think I wasted a lot of years hunting other states when I should have been coming to Colorado.
Well, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, and being willing to just take a nice, decent buck,
Oh yeah.
160 kind of class deer. I think you're going to be excited.
I'll tell you what, Steven, I'm probably going to be shooting much faster than 160. I hope, let's put it this way, I hope the 160 is the first one that comes out in range, because the 140 might also, I don't know. I'm not picky, especially hunting with my wife.
Yeah,
We just really like getting out there together, and she's new to the Western thing. So I usually, like last year antelope, I didn't even load my rifle. I didn't even uncase my rifle until she tagged out.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
The memory's the
yeah,
trophy there, brother.
yeah, and she's excited. Her biggest buck to date. It's in the other room, but she's only shot 2 bucks. Both were probably year and a half old whitetails. One was a really nice year and a half old whitetail, but like first buck she shot, and then she shot her first buck with a bow on our new farm. But that's 2, and so she is, never shot um, a 2-year-old buck of any caliber, and mule deer alone just look bigger, right? They have a
Oh
bigger
yeah,
frame, so she's a little nervous that she's like, they're all gonna look huge to me.
yeah. They will. After hunting whitetails, man. I mean, you just see a small muley and he looks giant.
Yeah. Yeah. 125-inch mule deer looks like a 150-inch whitetail.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I had a buddy on that same buddy that passed the 4x4. I was talking to him and was like, what do you want to shoot? And it was his first Western hunt. at all. And he was like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe like a 170." And I'm like, dude, like we're hunting Montana General. We're not gonna see a 170. Like it's and and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like that. I mean, I didn't laugh. I was like, I gotta I don't think we're gonna see one that big. Or I really think that would be challenge. Like I didn't want to. I don't know. I'm like I don't want to tell him like right before we're leaving that like your hopes and dreams are not going to happen. I was like maybe. He's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like a 125 4x4, and he's like, and I had a 125 4x4 deadhead in my office. Actually, is it? Oh, it's in the shop. And he goes, well, what about that one? How big's that one? I'm like, that one's 124. And he goes, oh, no, I meant that. I just didn't know how to score them.
That's what happens a lot, man. When people
Yeah.
when people see a nice mule deer, they yeah, their idea of what it takes to shoot it changes quick.
Yeah. My brother has a place in Wyoming where he has permission on private land to hunt antelope, but not mule deer. Because it's, he's like, I got to live with my neighbors. I can't let you hunt mule deer here because my neighbors will hate me. And behind him is some landlocked public that's got all kinds of great mule deer. He's convinced he saw a mule deer and he claims it was 30 inches tall. And I'm like, Dean, that would have been the world record. And he's like, it was 30 inches tall, man. And I'm like, he's like, it had 30. He said it was a 3x3 that had 30-inch tines. I'm like, I think you saw a giant mule deer, but that would be like the world record mule
Oh
deer
my
as a 3 by
goodness.
3 He's like, it was so it's like you said, like mule deer just look so big.
They do. They really
Yeah.
do. I mean, I have two. I have two that's been in my yard
Yeah.
that are that are 170 plus mule deer, and yeah, they're a lot of people would love to shoot them.
Yeah. Did I tell you I found your house on Onyx when I was e-scouting?
Oh, did you? I'm right in the
I was
unit, bro.
I
I
was
live there.
looking. Yeah, that was the well. At first, I asked you about like the unit, and you said no, not that unit, the other unit, and so maybe it was a typo, but you said the unit you live in, and so I was e-scouting that unit,
Yeah.
and I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh, we could hit this road here, and then we could like side hill this public, and I'm like, that looks really familiar, and then I start zooming in farther. I'm like, hey, there's Steven's house.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that steep, steep hill, and I remember in the morning when we went shed hunting, looking at that hill, thinking that would suck to climb.
Uh-huh. I've climbed it.
Yeah, I bet you have.
Climbed it.
Yeah, the
Oh
backside
my
looks good,
gosh.
but yeah, no. So we're excited. We really are. Um, I just always dreamed, like really romanticized a mule deer hunt where you're just seeing lots of deer. Whether they're
Yeah.
shooters or not shooters, public land, private land, you just like you're looking at deer, a lot of deer.
Yeah.
Like obviously maybe not as many as an antelope hunt, but
Hmm.
because every hunt I've done, it's like you hunt all day, you see two does and a fawn. You hunt all day, you see a 4x4 on or fork horn on private. You're just not. It's just a grind, and so I'm
Yeah.
really excited. It seems like just the deer populations, maybe they're not as good to you as you think they are, but to me, coming from these units in the drought country that I've been hunting, where we don't see it like there. I've hunted mule deer more days than not, actually, hunting mule deer where I didn't see a mule deer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough. That's
Yeah.
really tough. Well, again, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to give you any like
False hope.
unrealistic
Yeah. Yeah.
expectations, because the downside where we are is not the deer. Like our numbers are not as good as I'd like for them to be, but
Yeah.
we have great mule deer numbers. The thing that causes some aggravation where we are is there is a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of people. But the thing that I've learned with mule deer hunting is uh I don't necessarily spot and stalk as much as I used to. I
Mm.
go and get on a ridge or something where I have a vantage point, and I just sit and I let everybody else spot, stalk, walk, whatever they're going to do. And
Yeah.
I end up seeing so many deer just getting somewhere and sitting.
Yeah. That's like that's kind of the thought process I've been having is like, hey, let's pick a place, let's try to get off the road a little bit.
Yep.
um I don't know if that's a half mile, if it's a mile, if it's just over the first break,
Yep.
so you can see what the people in the trucks didn't see.
Yep. Over the
I
first break. That's the
Yeah,
ticket.
that's the minimum. And everything I've ever
Hmm.
done, like you go over that first break, it's crazy how much more. I mean, you see a lot of deer with the truck. I mean, there's a
Yep.
time and a place for it. Like that Montana hunt, by the last day, we were road hunting because we're just like, hey, our we missed, like we threw a dart at the map and we missed. And there are no deer where we are. So we just got to start covering miles. And then it was foot
Yep.
miles and then it turned into truck miles. And
That's
eventually we
right.
found a pocket that had some more deer. And then we did the same thing. We started getting past that first break again. But you know, there's the reason why people drive around because you see deer.
Oh yeah. Oh, and we have them in this unit. You'll see there
Yeah,
will be, I'm going to just say half of all the hunters you will see are going to be road hunters.
yeah,
They're going to just, I mean, they literally will just be lined up on the roads, several hundred yards apart and just drive and turn around and drive back and turn around and drive back in. And that's how they hunt.
yeah. Having the right tool for the job can make all the difference in the world, and that applies for our Western hunts too. Especially if you're coming from the Midwest like myself, because if you don't have it, there's no going home to get it. That's why many of us Western hunters are also gear junkies. And the same is true for the folks over at GOHUNT. They have built the GOHUNT Gear Shop to be jam-packed full of the best, highest quality gear needed for your Western hunts. They try out everything that gets into the shop, and if they don't like it or if they don't use it, it doesn't make the cut. So if you need something for your next trip, GOHUNT has something for you in their gear shop. They've got everything from optics, camping gear, accessories, apparel, footwear. They've got packs. They've got some of the best brands in the industry. So if you're in the market for some new gear, consider checking out the GOHUNT Gear Shop. They're an avid supporter of the outdoors. They're supporters of this podcast. And most importantly, they're supporters of you. They want to help you be more successful in the West. So there's no better place to shop for your gear, information, or knowledge than GOHUNT. And if you use the code DRAWNWEST when you check out, you're going to get 10% off most of the regular priced items in the GOHUNT Gear Shop. So head over to GOHUNT.com, get the gear you need, use the code DRAWNWEST, and get the right tool for the job this fall. Yeah, I'd like to find a ridge, park, work that way down that ridge, get a glass. I would love to whitetail hunt them, like you said, like sit in a spot where there's a
And
good,
glass.
yeah, maybe even you got like at 200 yards, there's just a natural funnel break in the terrain. Deer are moving. You got does working their way through. Yeah, I'd like that. We got a new spotter. Hawk actually reached out and wanted to work together, and they sent us. I don't know if you've heard of Hawk. They're kind of like
Yes.
the United Kingdom version of Vortex.
Yep. Yep.
Um, they sent us a 13 to 39 power, but it
Okay.
weighs like 20 ounces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just a cute little small spotting scope, but perfect to just like no reason not to bring the spotter then, right?
Yeah.
Compared to my 20 to 60 power, with an 80 millimeter objective that weighs 4.5 pounds, right?
Hmm.
This thing's just perfect. So we're going to be running that on one, and then they sent us a 12 power. Not quite your 1556s, but we got some 1250s that we'll be running both of those off tripods. So yeah, I think our plan is like, hey, let's get in, let's get a little bit off the road, and let's just get a good vantage point, and
Yep.
let's just stay tight. Like let's just
Yep.
hang out, let's get comfy, let's get the snacks out. You
Yep.
know, we don't
I
have
have
to.
some spots in mind
Yeah,
that when you get there, I'm going to drop you some pins, share some pins with you that
yeah,
are good glassing vantage points that are good funnel areas and stuff like that.
yeah.
And yeah, you're going to be able to get in there and do exactly that.
That's kind of at beginning. I mean, we'll obviously spot and stock if we
Hmm.
need to, right? You
Sure.
see a buck at 500 yards that's bedded down.
Sure.
All right,
Yep.
time to do the sneak. Yeah, we're excited for that. But yeah, I think hunting pressure is a very interesting topic, right?
Hmm.
Everyone wishes on opening day that you were the only one with a tag.
Yeah.
But you also like it's a fine line because if you were the only one with the tag, it's really easy to say we don't need a hunting season anymore.
Exactly.
And so it's like I want a ton. It's like you almost want to like I want a ton of people that will die on this hill with me that just choose not to hunt. And you don't
Yep.
get that. Like you don't get you got to put up with the people.
Sure.
And so I think part of it's also like I think perspective of like I grew up hunting private land. I never
Yep.
saw anyone that wasn't in my family hunting. And
Hmm.
so the first time you go out west, it's kind of a shell shock of like, oh, there's 14 trucks parked here. And you're like, well, what do we do now? But then you're like, well, there's thousands of acres, and it kind of goes back and forth. You kind of just got to have this perspective of like, it's okay. Like you said, like
Yep.
the biggest mule deer I shot him in a cut. He was working his way up the bottom in like grassland, like giant rolling grassland. It wasn't even broken country or breaks.
Yep.
It's like imagine where you were sending those pictures, but there's no junipers, no trees. The biggest
Yep.
thing is a sagebrush. He was coming up the bottom at first light. There was a guy in a pickup on top at like 500 yards. He was at 200 down in the bottom. And it wasn't quite stacked, but he was up on that ridge and he drove down to the end with his truck on an oil rig road. And that buck came up and I shot that buck, and I was obviously shooting. People are like, oh, you're shooting right at the other guy. No, I was shooting down into the bottom, dumped him. Well, that guy was up on top. He had no idea that deer was there. Like
Yep.
I feel like with the deer, it's a little bit easier to do that. Elk, like they just usually don't put up with roads as much.
Right.
And
Right.
you kind of do have to get off and get away from some people. But I think it's just like you go into it expecting that. And it's like, it's all right. They're going to probably stay on the road. They're probably going to stay very close to the road. We can go in a mile. We can go in 2 miles.
Right.
Steven's used to packing out huge bowls and huge
That's
piles of
right.
sheds. So if we shoot one way back in here, I'll call Steven and
I'm coming
it's
to
just
help you.
yeah,
Yep.
no, it's a deer is a very workable thing to get out of the
Yes, it is.
backcountry. Elk
It
are
is.
too, it just takes more trips.
That's right.
Um, so yeah, we're really excited for that to probably do more of what you're talking about. This is a good spot. There's nothing wrong with the spot. Just
Yep.
I think a lot of people go to their spot and maybe get your perspective because I know you hunt with a lot of people and a lot of
Yep.
maybe newer people to hunting mule deer. You bring a lot of people with you. Do you feel like a lot of people get to a spot and look around and be like, all right, there's no deer here, let's go? And whereas you could also say like, oh, this is a great spot. There will be deer here today. Like, let's just be patient.
Yep. No doubt. No, there are a lot of people. Matter of fact, if you think about it this way, you're just take your average Joe hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I want everybody to get out that has a tag, get in the woods however they can. What I mean by that is not everybody, is a has their own business or whatever like I have and can take off days and go scout. Some of them are going to get their opening morning and they have not scouted not even one day and they're just going to
Mm-hmm.
start hunting. And probably you can just off the top, you can say 50% of all the hunters in there are going to be that average Joe, and that's what they're going
Yeah.
to do. And when they walk through a place, if they don't see anything or if they see one doe or whatever, they're going to keep moving. When I walk through that place, I've already got hours into scouting that spot. I know what's there, and I might not see anything, but I'm going to sit down there and I'm going to spend several hours glassing. I might stay there all day because
Yeah.
I know what's there. And that's what I've learned about this place is once you learn how those mule deer, again, because you have to think, a lot of these deer are migration deer. So they move into these areas, and as long as they've got feed, cover, water, and plenty of those, they're going to just hang out in these little pockets that are not necessarily the ones that grab your attention, just
Mm,
when you walk
yeah.
through or drive through an area. Sometimes I've seen these little small draws and pockets just hold a pile of mule deer, and everybody misses them.
How big of a like when you say a small pocket? I know it's hard because like no one knows acres out west because it's a
Yeah,
kind of an irrelevant number, or like how
yeah.
many acres. But would you like are when you say a pocket, are you talking about maybe like a square mile, a half mile of like cut draw on the off of the main, draw? What
Mhm.
like just for people like or are you talking like, hey, there's, like a pocket for a whitetail hunter might be literally a tree in 40 yards.
Right, right. So a lot of what we're going to be hunting here is we're hunting off of um private ag fields. So
Okay.
so these are alfalfa or alfalfa mix fields. And the deer are going into these places at night, obviously, spending a lot of the most of the night in there, and then they're coming back on the public to bed. Now,
Mm,
what's happening is you have these little draws and little ridge lines that
mhm.
they may be only just say a quarter a mile between each draw, but you're going to have one of those draws that is going to be like a highway. I mean, it's just going to be crazy. And so
Mm,
within a half a mile behind that private is going to
yeah.
be like a honey hole. But now you might be one ridge over too far, east or west or whatever it might be, and you
Yeah.
might not be seeing hardly any deer, and they'll just be all
Interesting.
using this one funnel,
Yeah.
and then you go down maybe a mile along between the private and the public land, and there's another green field, and then it'll kind of be the same scenario. And so once you learn which draws are the highways, then you can just kind of get in those draws and just get a great vantage point and sit it out, man.
Interesting. Yeah. That's good context for people, especially if they're like coming out west and they don't like you're like, okay, but what's up like everything's bigger. So what is a pocket out here? Is he
Yeah.
talking about like a 40-acre chunk? For me as a whitetail hunter, like I got pockets where it's like it is like 5 acres.
Oh,
It's
for
that
sure.
tree and what I can see from it. And it's like this pocket is just unstoppable.
Yep.
Um, and so people might be like, well, what are you talking about? And I think that's good context. Like it could be a ridge system. Um, and the next ridge over could be something completely different. For whatever
Completely
reason,
different.
those deer just don't want to use that part of it. They want to use, um, yeah, we wish we could tell what they're thinking. Why are they
Yeah.
picking that ridge? Do you
Yep.
find that it's typically the same pockets year in and year out? For this, like whitetails, they'll move a lot with soybeans. I'm sure you're seeing that down south. The
Yeah.
crop rotation can really dictate. Out west, probably a little bit more stable crop rotations. Are
Yep.
you seeing like some pockets are like here's an example, right? Hey, last like this one of my favorite spots, right? It's your favorite spot for a reason. You go there, you have good luck. Next year, is it probably that one, or could it be like it's either going to be like this one, or this one? One of these three they're going to be in. I just got to figure out which one they're using this year, or is it typically the same one?
So I've got two or three spots that I'm going to share with you once you get there. That
Mm-hmm.
every year, I don't it don't matter what drought, good year, it don't matter what. There's going to be deer
Mm-hmm.
that are going to use that. It's a travel route, and
Mm.
they're just going to use it. Now, but there's also some that like you were talking about. So there might be, just say you have a farm on private. The farm's 300 acres, and 100
Yeah.
acres of that farm is in alfalfa mix, and the deer are hitting it every night. And then
Yeah.
in that 100 acre field, there's two main draws that go out of that field into the public.
Mm.
And from year to year, it might change which one of those draws the deer use the most, but you know
Yeah.
it's going to be one of them.
one, one of them.
It's going
Yeah.
to be money, because you can like when you're scouting, you might like, there's one of the fields that I'm going to show you, and pretty much on any given evening in third season, you can go out there right before dark, and there's going to be 100 mule deer on that field, and there's going to be multiple 4 points on that field. And so, and what happens is again, think of it this way, because a lot of people get so locked into like, oh my gosh, all the deer are on private, there's no way I can get to them, why should I even hunt right here, because they're just going to stay there. Those deer, especially migratory mule deer, they're going out a mile from that greenfield on the public, at least, if not a mile and a half. And the way, and you've done e-scouting on this, so
Yeah.
when it leaves those ag fields and stuff, we're talking about buckbrush and oak brush for 2 miles up the side of this mountain system.
Right.
So you're going to get one evening, part of those mule deer are going to go, back on the public, and they're going to go in a mile and a half deep, and they might stay in
Mm-hmm.
there for a day or two, but other mule deer are going to hit that field. So it's a
Yeah.
constant flow, ebb and flow of new deer coming back and forth to those fields. So you can't get discouraged because you like, oh my gosh, all the deer are on the field. There ain't no point in hunting. There's always deer that's up
Yeah.
in that brush.
It's crazy. I mean, how many deer there actually are sometimes. I was in a place in Buena Vista, and I remember it to this day, but it was like, man, every night on that field there was like 400 mule deer, and there's just a line of trucks of people watching them, right? Because they were also trying to
Yeah.
figure out where these deer are coming from. And but there's still like, you still see the deer up in the hills, like you said. And if it's
Yep.
the rut, that buck doesn't want to keep bringing his hair. So that's another thing people might not even know. Mule deer and whitetails are very different in the rut,
Yes.
right? Whitetail, he picks one doe, chases her. When she's receptive, they lock down. And
Yep.
it's kind of be a really frustrating part of the season, because it usually all happens in like 2 or 3 days. Like every mature buck is going to be locked down at the same time. Hey friends, if you're listening to this podcast, I know you're an avid hunter just like myself, and we are always looking to get more time in the woods each season. One of the ways that's helped me get more time in the stand is by using Maverick hunting blinds. When I'm comfortable, I stay in the stand longer and I'm more focused on deer. I don't turn around so my hood cuts the wind, I'm not taking shelter from the rain, and the best way to stay comfortable is with a hard-sided blind, and my favorite is Maverick's XL blind, which allows me to rifle hunt, bow hunt out at the same stand. The best part is Maverick has a blind for every spot. So whether you're looking for a rifle only option or a bow and rifle, even a round blind to cut down some of that wind resistance, Maverick has you covered. No matter which option you go with, you're going to be comfortable and sit longer in the stand for all of your upcoming hunting seasons. Go to MaverickHunting.com and use the code DRAWNWEST, that's one word, DRAWNWEST, to get 10% off your next blind and elevate platform. And people are trying to say like, hey, wait till he goes finds another doe. If you look at the science and like the Mississippi State Research Facility, their science does not support that. On average, mature bucks are breeding one doe a season.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, oh, let's wait for the next one. It's like, there is no next one. And if you look at the science of fawn drops, they all have to drop on the same day, or else the
Uh-huh.
coyotes are going to come in and just wreak havoc. And
Yep.
so like they all have to be bred on the same. So Mule deer are drastically different. He's got a
Very
harem. He
different.
collects a harem of does. What is it? It's 3 to 6. I don't know. I mean, it could be 1, I suppose, if there's not a lot of does. I don't know. I mean, and then it just depends on, there's a ton of does and a very mature buck. But eventually it's how many can you keep track of?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But he
Usually
doesn't
when
want to
you see
bring
a
his
mature,
harem down there with a bunch of other bucks if they're all
right,
receptive and in the rut. I mean, that's the last place he wants to bring them. He wants to keep them away from all the other deer.
right. Yeah. When you see a mature, mule deer buck, usually, like you said, he's gonna have 3 to 6 does, and a lot of those bucks, they go into these little pockets like I'm talking about, and just
Yeah.
kind of just stay tight, man, in there. Like I saw some big muleys that have 4, 5, 6 does, and just be in this one little draw. And when I say a little draw or a little pocket like that, once they lock in with a harem, I mean, I've seen them be in a little, like just say a little 10-acre draw, just
Yeah.
just oak brush draw, and just stay right there, man.
Yeah. Wow. How, so in this country, I know it's thick scrub oak, sagebrush, there's probably some junipers mixed in. What's the shooting opportunities typically like for you? And maybe in other places, people go out west and they think, oh, big shots, everything's going to be, and I think a lot of people like to maybe I don't know what the right word for it would be. But you'll hear someone say like, "Oh, you better be prepared to shoot a long ways. If you're going out there, you better be able to shoot far. Or you're going antelope hunting in Wyoming, you better be able to shoot some. You better be able to shoot pretty far." I think people like to like, it's almost like a ego thing of like how far you shot or how far you should shoot, which is yeah, sometimes. My dad shot an antelope in Wyoming at 9 yards one time.
Yeah.
You know, it can happen. It can happen the other way. I mean, he was defending himself at that point.
Right.
Um, what in your practice? Because I know you spend a lot of time out in the woods. You also spend a lot of time getting close to animals, so you're good at getting close. What do you typically see for shot opportunities and distances on your hunts and on the people you hunt with?
So one of my if I was just pick in this unit, my very favorite spot, I might take you there. We'll see.
Okay,
Oh,
we'll see how good the
my
food is
very
I bring out.
favorite spot.
Yeah.
uh, we call it Sniper's Point.
Okay.
But you have shots out to 700 yards,
Hmm.
but you can see further than that. But I'm talking about realistically, you could take a 700-yard shot. Most of your shots are going to be 4 or 500 yards that you would actually be able to get settled in and take.
Hmm.
But you know, my thing is like I want to try to be 200 yards or less on an
Hmm.
animal. That I'd love it
Yeah.
if that was the
Yeah.
case. We can't always do that. We've got to take, what we're offered. Um, but
Hmm.
then I have other spots where it's going to be a 200-yard shot, 250-yard shot. But
Yeah.
most all of the spots in this unit, because we have oak brush, pinyon, and sagebrush, you're going to be able to glass a long ways. But the way the terrain lies is
Yeah.
if it's a shot you're not comfortable with, you're going to be able to spot and stalk your way in
Yeah.
closer to that animal where you get a shot that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. And I think that's um a good thing for a lot of people to keep in mind of like, just because you have an animal doesn't mean you have to take the shot.
Exactly. If you
And
don't feel
if you're not,
comfortable with that shot,
oh, and it's like, it's, if you're wondering if you're comfortable with the shot, that would be a big red flag to me that it's too far.
yeah,
Right? And I think
exactly.
everyone, that's a different number for everyone. For Steven,
Sure.
it might be like, well, I don't know if this 750 yard shot's going to work out. That might be a little
Yeah.
too far for Steven. Maybe,
Yeah.
650 is the spot because he lives out west and he shoots longer distances in the mountains more often. And I might be like, I don't know if this 400-yard shot's going to go very well. That's,
Yeah.
well, Brian's, numbers less than 400, right? Everyone
Yep.
gets to make that shot, that determination for yourself. Um, we like with Abby, she's not a long distance shooter. She
Right.
just started right. Last year was her first rifle hunt. The
Yep.
antelope was the first thing she's ever killed with an actual rifle. She shot a deer with a shotgun before, but and shotgun distances is like 100 on a
Mm-hmm.
whitetail, much different
Mm-hmm.
scenario. And so like we won't be shooting far. We're just gonna
Yeah.
have to say, let's see how close we can get. Let's make sure we're hunting in places that have opportunities to get closer. I've
Yeah.
shot
And
mule deer to
I have a spot that I think will work great for her.
yeah,
Matter of fact, it's one of the spots I'm going to share with you. We nicknamed it the Lookout, but it's great, and it would be a lot of shots that are within her range that she would feel comfortable with, and because I'll be honest, I'm not more power to everybody that's long distance, a long distance shooter. And I wish I shot better at those ranges, but I don't practice at them really long ranges enough to feel
yeah,
comfortable with taking like a 700-yard shot. Um, Now I had a buddy this past year that shot a mule deer buck and at 525 and killed him. And man, I mean, it was an amazing, amazing shot. But that's
yeah,
not a shot that I'm hardly ever going to take. I'm going to have a lot of time and a
yeah.
lot of settling in to take that kind of shot. Um,
No, so many variables. No wind.
yeah,
Is the animal on his feet?
yeah,
Because if he's on his feet and moving, I mean, it takes almost a second for a bullet to go 700 yards. So 500 is a little bit less, but
yep,
I mean, he can move easily 12 inches, and now you have a gut shot, right?
exactly.
Um, there's so many variables. But if he's bedded, okay, great. He's probably not moving, but now
Mm-hmm.
you have a different size vital profile.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did that too once. I shot one at 498. First shot I took, I saw where my impact hit and I was really stable and I went, oh, that doesn't seem like the right elevation. I shot right above him. He didn't move. So I'm like, all right, well, he didn't move. And now I have more information. So I made the adjustment, shot again, and put it right through his heart. So I don't know what happened with my elevation adjustment on that, but 498 put it through his heart, bedded down. And that was one of those things retrospectively where I was like, I wonder if this is going to work. And I did it. And now, looking back, like it worked out. But that's when I started realizing, like, if you're wondering if this is like too far, it's
Yeah,
probably too far versus
exactly.
other animals where it's like, you are dead. Like, I know what is about to happen. It's, 200 yards on an elk and I'm laying prone. You're dead.
Oh yeah.
Like, this
Oh
is,
yeah.
this is over.
Yeah.
500 yards on an antelope laying prone, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like this is
That's right.
right.
That's
There's
right.
yeah. So I'm excited for that. And she's also not, she's said many times she's not picky. She's worried she's going to shoot the first one because it's going to look so big. And I'm looking at the map and like, yeah, there's places where it's probably fun to hunt because you can see everything and you're going to see a ton of deer. But I just found like so many pockets. Like here's one where there's a 50-yard opening in a river
Yep.
valley coming off of those egg fields, and you could get up and sneak up on that rim and you're at 125.
Oh yeah.
Like you might not see as many animals all day long,
Yep.
but if you do, it's dead.
Yep. And see,
Yeah. So
the other element to this too is, and you have to factor this in because it's going to happen. There are enough people moving around that you're going to invariably have somebody push deer over you.
that would be so much fun to see her reaction if we're like set up and a deer just comes flying over the top, like runs between us and boom, and just, like someone just buzzes you with a deer. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's another part of the pressure, especially mule deer hunting. Elk are a little bit different. Typically, you bust a herd of elk, they're going to this horizon to see if there's a pot of gold. Mule deer,
exactly.
they're just going to bounce over a couple draws.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
another element to this hunt that is going to be interesting, and it just worked out this way. is I have some guys that every year, while I'm mule deer hunting in this unit, they come and camp next to me, and they'll be elk hunting. And
Ooh, yes.
so what's going to happen is there's literally like five of these guys. And so we're going to have five more sets of eyeballs that are going to be
That's
reporting to me, telling me what they're seeing. And I'll be
yeah.
sending information and pins to you with pictures saying, if you're interested in this buck, go here, you know.
Hey, friends, it's time for the code word from this episode. So if you haven't heard by now or you're not entered, we are giving away 2 Reveal Ultra cell cams to one lucky winner. And every one of these code words that you send in is worth 20 extra entries. There's going to be 4 of them. And I'll even give you a little secret. They're in episodes 21, 22. This one is 23, and the next one, 24. This week's code word is Colorado because Abby and I are in Colorado right now. Hopefully, we're tagged out by now because this is going to be a couple days into the hunt. But we're going to use Colorado. So once you get done with this episode, go over to getdrawnwest.com/giveaway. Scroll down to episode 23, enter Colorado, hit submit. You're going to get 20 extra entries, and you can see where you stand at the bottom of that giveaway tracker. It'll tell you exactly how many entries you've got. So Colorado is this week's code word. Don't forget to enter it after you're done with this episode. Now let's get back to the show. and if you even ask, because you're gonna like, just because you see so many of them, right? Whether we're interested in a fork or not, you're probably gonna be like, he's gonna find his own fork. I don't have to send him that one. So if you send it,
Yeah.
the answer's probably gonna be like, yeah, we're interested, Steven. That's a giant.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
the
that's
same
gonna be
goes
interesting.
the same goes in reverse. Like they also have 3 more guys or
That's right.
people. Obviously, Abby's not a guy. She's one of the bros, but she's not a guy.
There you
Um,
go.
looking, and if they see an elk, it's like, hey, dude, I don't know what your bar is, but we just saw a 6x6 run across this road with
Yep.
a big herd of cows. Can't miss them.
Yep. No, these guys are going to be, these guys are not, they're not horn hunters. They're going to be any legal bull. And so, again, it's kind of like you talking about with the mule deer. Anything that you see that is a legal bull, they're going to want to know about it.
And that's 4 branch antlered bulls, or is it 4x4 or 4 point
So
on one side?
it's 4 on one side or a 5-inch brow tine.
So the nose on an elk is probably what, 14 inches long?
Mm-hmm.
Does that
Mm-hmm.
sound right? Twice as big as a whitetail. So you
Probably.
got to
Yep.
be like at least half as long from his eye to his nose.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's
So
tricky.
a
How do you
five
make
inch brow tine. Well, here's the thing. Here's been the good rule of thumb for me. And this is kind of why I think that they chose this. If you can look at a bull and you can see his
Oh,
brow
absolutely.
tine, it's pretty much going to be around 5 inches or more. If it's less than that, you have
Except,
a hard time seeing it.
do you remember that shed that the cameraman Chris found?
Oh my gosh, I do. I do remember
That was a
that.
4x4 that the DNR would have been like, we got to change the rule to 5x5.
Oh my gosh, that thing looked like it might have been some kind of elk mutation or something. I don't know exactly what that was. Maybe a
Well,
Sitka
like
deer got loose.
we have people and then we have little people. Maybe elk every now and then they just have a little elk and it looks like it's just
Maybe
a half
so. I don't
size.
know.
Yeah, I don't
Oh
know.
no.
Okay, so super good insight on like how you pick apart this unit. But in this unit and in most units, you've got like, hey, we got a food draw system. We figured this out. They like to use this area. How about the places way in the back, right? Off the road. There's no egg within miles. Do people like, I know mule deer, the general rule of thumb is that does and fawns will migrate down first. Any, pretty much any side of weather, like maybe those rains you guys had earlier started pushing those does and fawns down. Then, sometimes they might bring with the young 1-year-old bucks with them. Then the 2s and 3-year-olds start working their way down, and the big mature, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old bucks are generally the last ones to show up to the rut grounds, or generally the last ones to show up to the winter range, right? Is is if someone's like, hey, I really want to focus more on that age class, would you be still hunting like down by the food sources and all the high population of deer, or would there be a valid idea to go way in the back, and it's like, hey, we might not see a tenth of what everyone else is seeing, but they're probably going to be pretty good bucks when we find them back in here?
All right, I'm gonna give you my hypothesis on this. Now, if you had 10 hunters and you asked them the same question, everybody might have a different,
You get 11
answer.
different answers. Yeah.
Yeah. This is this is from the brain of a guy that just constantly thinks, why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they doing it at this time?
Right.
Why are they here and not there? Okay, so the side of the unit that we're hunting, keep in mind, then you've looked at this because you've e-scouted.
Yeah.
Basically, you could say that this side of the unit, the highest ridge on that part of the unit is maybe
Hmm.
8,000 feet.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of it's lower than that, but just say the peak is maybe 8,000 feet. So you're already taken out of the equation very much of they're coming down because of any kind of weather.
Mm,
Okay. They're just coming there because it's a migration place, but they're coming there also because the does are going there and it is just becomes a rut fest. All right.
okay.
So here's what I have surmised. All right. Half of the deer that come into this side of the unit we're hunting are migratory from the high country. The other half are resident from the private.
Mm,
Okay. They've
yeah.
lived on the private all summer. They've been born and raised there. That's where they live.
Yeah.
Okay. And some of the biggest bucks that I've ever seen are resident bucks on the private because they just eat the very best that
Yeah.
there is. So what happens is the does start congregating in the unit on the public where we're going to be hunting. So you have 50% of the bucks coming out of the high country coming to find the does there. 50% of the bucks coming from the private to meet the does there. So I find that there's no di- um, there's no difference between the big bucks that I find at the back of the ag fields versus the big bucks I find if I hunt the ridge at 8,000 feet.
Mm.
It
Do
is it
you
is
okay.
it's the same.
Is there the same, like, is the density definitely shifted towards the egg fields? Like, there's just
Yes.
more deer down there?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, here's what I would say. I would say the density is 75%
Mm.
within a mile, mile and a half of the ag fields.
And probably 75% of the hunter density too.
Yes. Now here is what I will say, okay?
Yeah.
Is one of the biggest bucks probably the biggest buck I have seen with my eyes in the last several years of hunting that was on the public was at the top.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you get this idea that maybe those big bucks, I think it's more not elevation. I think it's more getting away from pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, and in this unit, it truly is like not that big of an L. It's nothing for those deer to go, I mean, what you is that, like, your house is like 6,000 feet. Like
Oh
everything in
yeah.
Colorado is high. right, to
Yes.
begin with. So for a deer to
Yes.
go from 6 to 8 or 6 to 9, I mean, when people talk like coming down from the elevation, that's like they're talking about 12,000 feet. They're
They're talking
coming down,
about 11,000 plus feet.
right? And then it's
You know
snow capped up there, so they're starting to move down. There's
exactly.
so much of Colorado that is easily attainable to a deer at any time of the year.
Yeah. I'll just
Right.
tell you this. Um, and you could actually do this on Onyx. I haven't done it in a while, but you could do a line distance from the top of that ridge in that
Hmm.
unit, kind of above where I dropped you the pin where we're going to camp.
Yeah.
You could do a line distance from the top to the back of those ag fields, and I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what that's going to be, but I'm going to say it's probably 4 miles or less. As the crow flies.
Right. Probably.
Um, yeah. So now walking miles, it's probably seven or so. But I'm saying one of those deer that are in those ag fields at night can by the morning or midday at least be at the top of that mountain if he's chasing a doe.
Sure. Why is so many of the units in Colorado? It seems like there's like a huge difference between like one end to the other end of the unit, right? Like the unit that I hunted elk long ago, the high was like 13,000 feet, right? And then the other end of the unit was like 40 miles away out in the middle of the flat. And it's like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Like, I feel like some people might come out there and be like, oh, we got to get away from all these people. It's their first mule deer hunt. And they go up to the 12,000 feet stuff for third
Yep.
season mule deer. And I'm like, it's so big. Some of these units are so, it's not even big, but long. Like a lot of units in
Yeah.
Colorado are long.
Yeah. Was the unit we're going to be hunting, you saw it probably,
Yeah.
but we have everything from 12,000 foot canyons and big deep draws where we elk hunt in the
Yeah.
north part of the unit to sagebrush, oak brush, and pinyon and cedar, at the south end of the unit.
Right.
So you kind of have the whole scope of everything that you could want to hunt. And again, that's like what I was telling you, according to what hunter you talk to, they're going to have a different strategy. Like,
Sure.
and I'm willing to share this with you because this is some things I didn't know, but there's a guy who's known around where we live. I mean, he has consistently killed giant mule deer.
Hmm.
And so I just went and talked to him and just picked his brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was great. He was great. And he told me a place to go. He's like, "Hey, go here. This is one of my spots that I used to hunt a lot because he really don't hunt much
Yeah.
anymore." And so I went there and this is honest truth. I went there and hunted a couple times and never saw a deer, not a single deer. But I understood
Yeah.
what he was doing because there was some fresh snow and I probably only saw maybe 3 or 4 mule deer tracks.
Hmm.
But when I tell you they were giant tracks. And so I was like, what he is doing is he's not going to look for numbers. He is going to look for that long, giant mountain
Right.
buck that is coming out of the high country and he's
Yeah.
transitioning from the high country and just slowly making his way down.
Yeah.
And that's what he's hunting.
And probably hunting by himself.
He's hunting right by himself and
Yeah.
he's just getting out there and probably staying all day long in one spot glassing.
Yeah. That's a fun. I think that would be a fun way to hunt. Especially, I hope it looks like we're gonna have decent temperatures. So I think it'll be good. Abby's got some. She's been buying more and more clothes, so she's gonna stay warm. Um, when we start dating, right? She's just wearing my stuff, and she's 5'3". I'm 6'2", so it didn't work out very well. And every year we add a little more and a little more and a little more, and so now she's got some good gear, so we should be fine there. And hopefully with all the rain you guys been having, hopefully there's no burn ban. Maybe we can make a small fire if we need to and just hang out and,
Oh yeah,
spend some
the
time, have a
ban's
blast.
been lifted, so we should be good.
Yeah. I got to ask, because it's you, Steven, how many sheds do you find in mule deer season behind that glass? Are we going to have any chance for a nice 4x4 mule deer shed? Or have
Oh,
you picked over this mountain so clean that there's no left?
well, I have picked it pretty good. Um, but this unit, there is always going to be a shed there somewhere. So,
That's
yeah, and I found some big ones there. I found my biggest set in this unit.
This episode is brought to you by Matthews Archery. Folks, I just upgraded my Halon to the all-new Matthews Lift X, and I absolutely love it. I went with a 33-inch axle, which is a great fitting bow for anyone like me that's got a little bit longer draw length. And I also went with the 80-pound limbs this time because it gives me the flexibility whether I want to shoot it at 70 for whitetails in Target League, or if I want to bump that up to 75 or 80 the next time we go on an archery elk hunt for a little extra energy. And the one thing that I am still blown away by is how smooth this bow shoots. There's no hand vibration when it goes off. It's incredibly quiet, and it's an absolute tack driver. So if you're in the market for a new bow, head over to MatthewsInc.com and check out the new Lift X, either the 29.5 or the 33, depending on what you're looking for. And you're going to see why I've been loving my new Lift X. Oh, really? That's the one you showed me? Or that's
I
where it
sure
came
did.
from?
Matter of fact, yeah, little secret, but within a mile of where we're going to be camping, I found that 208 set.
Wow. I think it
Yeah,
would be fun for Abby to find any shed. I mean, it's fun for me too. But if we do the elk winter in this area,
they do. Yeah, they winter in this area as well.
yeah, if she found just any elk shed, I think that would just be so cool. Because she's found mule deer and she's found whitetail, but she's never.
Yeah.
She obviously she wasn't with us when we came to shed hunt with you, and so yeah, she's never found a mule deer shed before, and I think she would absolutely love that.
That'd be cool. Maybe it'll happen. It's very possible.
Yeah, sorry, elk. I meant elk. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be cool. I, I mean, there's something about elk sheds, man. I mean, I'm so envious of all those sheds you guys find. Just man, every one of them to me is giant because I whitetail hunt, right? So a big
Right.
whitetail shed for me, it's like that big, and that's like not even a big mule. I mean, you can just see the elk shed right there. Those are your elk sheds.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Love it.
I still got to hang them up on the Rack Cub XL hanger, but yeah, it's like you you just walked into camp and gave me those one day and said, "Here you go," and
I love
yeah,
it.
4 times the size of my biggest whitetail shed ever. So
I know.
those,
That's why we love finding elk sheds, man. It's amazing.
we got to maybe Abby will be like, "Yeah, this is gonna be." She wants to come now with after it's coming out there. It's
She
gonna be
might.
cool country. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, it really is. I think you guys are in for a good time, and I think I'll be able to share some information with you that it's took me a lot of years to gather, but
Yeah.
I think I can share some good information with you that can help y'all be successful.
Well, we're gonna have to find a way to return the favor somehow with whitetail information. But you seem like you've got a pretty good line on some whitetail information. We didn't even talk about it, but you just shot a dandy buck yesterday.
Yeah, I did. So this place where I'm at in Georgia, whitetail hunting, um, my cousin, this is property that's passed down from his mom to him and his siblings, and so it's just been really I mean, man, it's been a blessing to be able to hunt this area. And then we got permission on this new piece that I was telling you about. And so this was one of our target bucks. There's a lot of deer in this area.
Mm-hmm.
The deer here are not like I wouldn't call them giants. Like the biggest buck I've ever taken here was 146-inch 8 point, that's a nice
That's
8 point.
that's giant.
Yeah, that's a nice 8 point. But 90% of all your deer here are 120s.
Yeah.
And so that's what that buck that I just took a couple of days ago. That's the caliber that he is. But man, you're a whitetail hunter. They're so fun to hunt.
Yeah. Was that the buck that you had fighting on camera?
It was, yeah.
Man, he. How big are their bodies? Because I looked at that buck and I was like, that's like a 170-inch deer.
So they're these deer are not big deer.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it makes their racks look, quite a bit bigger. But yeah, like that buck I killed, he weighed 164.
Okay.
So
Yeah. A little bit smaller, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, so anyway, yeah, they're a little smaller. I mean, like, what does an average buck weigh where you hunt?
Oh, it depends. I mean, so how old was he? Do you know?
He was this deer. We thought he was older, but I'm convinced that this deer was only 3.5.
Okay. A lot of our 3.5s will maybe range between 180 to 205 field
Oh
dressed.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah. See, this is like I've killed one buck here that was like probably 200, right at 200.
Mm,
And most of our bucks here, though, are going to be in that 165 to 175 kind of range. If
yeah.
we kill a 185, that's
Big
you
body
know,
deer.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest I ever saw was 222,
yeah,
which is,
yeah,
he was a chunk.
yeah. That's a big whitetail.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so you had that, and then you shot a dandy bull with your bow.
I did,
Man,
I
just a
did.
crazy season. You're going for a hat trick.
I did, man. It's been a great year. Yeah, I shot that bull at 27 yards, and so yeah, it was intense.
Were you were on the ground running around calling?
Yeah, so this is the same unit that we're going to be mule deer hunting in.
Really?
I switched over the last couple of years, and I elk hunted this unit, and I was hunting a migratory up. And so what happened was I found where these deer were, or where these elk were bedding midday.
Mm,
It was a little mesa that's probably, I'm going to say it's 250 acre mesa that
yeah.
drops off back down towards the private. And these elk would make their way out of these fields before daylight. And then they would get up there and they would get on this mesa and had a little spot that they were bedding. Well, once I found it, what I would do is I would stay out of there until about 10, 11, 12 o'clock and make sure they were, you know, in their beds and
Yeah.
really locked in for the day. And then I would literally just almost crawl in there. And when I would get where I felt like I was pretty close to their bed, because you probably know you've elk hunted, but elk right before elk bed down, they'll start making these little circles if you're following their tracks.
Hmm.
And so I would just literally track them in there. And when they would start doing that, I would set up and call. And 2 days in a row, when I called, I was literally close enough to hear the bull stand up out of his bed and start coming towards me. And the second day I did that, I made a cow call and a cow answered one time, and I made a light bugle and no response. And I just sat there for just a second and bugled again, and he cut me off. and I heard him get out of his bed and head to me, and shot him at
Wow.
27 yards.
That's so cool. Man, I got to move to Colorado or Georgia.
I'm telling you.
Wow, that's awesome. No, I can't wait. 7 days, man, we'll be out there. How long are you in Georgia? When are you heading back home?
I fly out Monday the 3rd, I think it is, going back. So I'm here for the rest of the week.
Okay, Monday the 3rd. And then do you have the whole week for the mule deer season?
Yeah, so I do, but I've got a project I've got to try to knock out, a couple of day project, but I'm gonna try to scout like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
Okay.
before the
How
hunt
much of
opens on Saturday.
Yeah, hunting open on Saturday. I would assume a lot, like everywhere else I've ever been, like Saturday, it's just a zoo.
Yes,
Sunday, pretty busy, and then it pretty tapers off for Monday. Like a lot of locals are working.
exactly.
Yeah. Abby and I have started to adopt a new methodology when we do these hunts. Like we did it last year. Um, it's like we treat Saturday and Sunday as just scouting days with guns. So we have a scouting day without a gun, and then we have 2 scouting days with a gun, and then we've pictured it as like, all right, on Monday we're gonna start hunting. And we did it with the antelope because there's so many people on opening day where it's like, don't even get your hopes up, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's probably gonna be someone in your spot. You're probably gonna be super frustrated if you have like all your eggs in like opening morning's basket.
yeah.
You might be disappointed. So we just kind of figure like, oh, we'll just have 2 extra scouting days with a rifle, and then we're gonna start hunting on Monday.
Well, I'm gonna. There's gonna be people, and
Yeah.
and they're gonna be all over. But hopefully I'm gonna be able to direct you guys to a spot that's gonna maybe produce for you even opening day.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, we'll do that, and obviously we're patient, and we'll put in our time. And I think we did 6 days to get 2 antelope last year, which is the world's longest antelope hunt.
I
Yeah,
love it.
Abby told me she's not gonna look. We looked at every public land antelope on days 1 and 2 last year, and then she said which ones she like. All right, let's go back. And we went. The first one we went back in down, he was gone. And then the second one we went back on, he was gone. So then but it was her first time out west, and she loved it. And just looking at them, right? We saw 1,200 antelope.
Oh my
I asked
goodness.
her if she wanted to look at every mule deer in the unit this year before she picks one out. She goes, no. she, she's like, nope. I'm shooting the first one that's big enough for me that I see.
I love it. I love it. I hope she
Yeah,
has an amazing time. I
yeah.
think she will.
We've been doing some shooting. We shot last weekend or this weekend. I had a 1-inch group at 300 yards, so I was like, "All right,
Love it.
dialed in." She had I think hers was a 2-inch group, but yeah, we're doing good. We're ready to rock and roll. Now we're gonna start loading up. We got a lot of gear to start finding. We haven't even started backing yet, but yeah,
For sure, man. Yeah. So y'all are gonna roll in Thursday evening then, huh?
yeah, we will be picking up our camper as early as we can on Thursday. It's like I think 1 to 4 in Denver. So hopefully 1 o'clock, and then however long it takes to get from Denver to your place or your
You got 6 hours, bro.
yeah, yeah. It's a haul. I mean, we probably won't have any time to do anything other than get there on Thursday,
Yep.
but then Friday we'll have the whole day.
Perfect.
Yep.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I got to decide if we're gonna go through the mountains or around the mountains. Could probably do either way, but
It's about the same time wise.
yeah,
One way you can run the interstate, you
yeah.
know, longer. The other way is a little more curvy, but it's better views.
Yeah, I don't know. She might not like the she might get a little road sick, and then with the camper too, hauling that through the
Well,
mountains.
then maybe just plan to run
Yeah,
25 down.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, and then just
Yeah.
cut across at the
Cut
bottom.
across on 160. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, brother. Well, go out there and smack another whitetail, man. Now that you get 2 tags.
Well, I'm carrying my mom. There's a buck that we named the old guy. He's got one eye put out, and we've been after him now for about the last 3 hunts. So I'm going to
Well,
take her back tonight and try to video her putting the smack on him.
well, good luck to Mama Walker. Hopefully she tags him out.
She's a killer, brother. She's a killer. That's where I got it from.
Good. Good. I can't wait to hear about it next week in camp.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you go. I know you got a bunch of stuff going on out there, and it's probably getting time to get in the stands. So,
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate the opportunity, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
yeah, you too. Thanks, Steven. Can't wait to see you.
All right. See you next week.
See you next week. Thanks for listening, folks.